I think 1688 would have been one of the most interesting and exciting and dangerous times to be alive, and probably one of the closest times in history to what we experience now, where everything's changing. There's all this new technology and science, and nobody knows what's happening. And somebody who was a pauper yesterday is a billionaire today, and that's something that Cal is really, really aware of. So it's an exciting time. It's also a time that really formed a lot of the ways that we see the world. And there's a lot of sex and violence and conspiracy in it, which I think is great. So Calumny is about to be 17-year-old, red-headed, half French Huguenot, unapprenticed kid. He's a bit like a Luke Skywalker in Essex Village, and he can't wait to get off the planet. His family are not very popular, and his father has got a quite dark secret from a couple of decades back, which precipitates them into fleeing to London and getting involved in a conspiracy. Well, actually, I stole the idea from Becky, my wife, who had an idea for a science fiction story where coffee is kind of like a cocaine in the future, and there's all this kind of smuggling and conspiracy. And I sort of nicked it, and I thought, well, what about when coffee first came to England, and you had to get licensed for it? How would that be? So he's a kind of, maybe it's a bit like The Sopranos in some ways. And he gets involved in a protection racket. I also like coffee because it kind of brings out a very social, slightly arsey side of people. And I guess it's where a lot of the great ideas of the 17th century came together, commercially, scientifically and artistically. People getting together in coffee houses and singing and getting wired. We talked about how I start my day. The point where I've lit the candle is really where the modern world seems to sort of disappear. And after about 100 words, it's a bit like I get to read the sort of books that I get to be in the sort of books that I like to read, and the sort of films that I like to watch. You really feel like you are somewhere different. And then literally I seem to end up doing quite a lot of dressing up type stunts, and I've got some friends who are reenactors, and I really like people who, it's not just time travel, it's also changing the character that you are by dressing up or going somewhere historical, reenacting, whatever it might be. It's a chance to be a different version of yourself, and you learn from that.